everybody, welcome back to our channel. It's been a couple of months since we last posted a video, and we just, I don't know, like we got some free time today to post one, so we are working on one right now. We decided that we are going to do another reaction video, and today we chose to do a reaction video to one of Acrylic and Aether's videos. So in this video, you're going to see some footage from their video, and you're going to see our footage from our own video responding to their video. And we're going to tag them in this video as well as give you guys the link to their video. That way you guys can watch the whole thing if you want to, because we're just using clips of their video in ours. It's not the whole video. So if you guys want to see the whole video, check out the description below and click the link and it'll take you directly to their video. You can watch the whole thing there. So we wanted to share our opinions and our experiences on how alters get their names.
My name is Dylan, and I am, I guess you could call me an apparently normal part in the Aether system, and that means I am an alternate identity state in someone with dissociative identity disorder. But how did I get this name? How do any alters get their names? There are a few ways that alters can get their names. Firstly, an alter could gain a name by the host giving one to them. Some alters come into the system without a name and are in need of one, but that's not always the case.
And the first thing that Acrylic and Aether mention is that sometimes the host or other alters give new alters that don't have names. And so for us, we haven't really done that ourselves, like within the system. We usually reach out to our partner system and ask them to help, or the alters that don't have names will reach out and ask them for help. And that's usually how they get names if it's, you know, from someone directly. And it's usually not within our own system. Now, if they go and they search names, it's usually on like a baby name list or something like that, which is also mentioned in the video by Acrylic and Aether. So that's something they do for themselves if, you know, our partner system doesn't help them pick a name.
Alters can also choose their own name if they feel so inclined to do so. This is where baby name lists come in handy. DID culture is lots of saved tabs of baby name lists, I swear. Sometimes you have to like find the name in the list before you can actually connect with it. So consulting lists of names can make it a lot easier to find a good name that the alter connects with. Alters might come into the system with a name and knowing it well. We've had alters surface by taking their name and repeatedly projecting it into the common thought space, like having a name just crashing around in your head, and then the alter shows up a couple days later and you're like, oh, that's what that was.
So we're going to show you guys our Google thing right now. We just took a screenshot. We're going to show you guys our Google. We have 3 open tabs right now that are just packed full of baby names. And this is just because we've had a lot of fusions lately. A lot of fusions. Jesus Christ. I can't even, like, get over that. We've had so many fusions. But we have these, like, 3 tabs. Just 3. Sometimes we have more, but right now we just had 3. And it's just been really helpful, you know, like, going through the list of names and seeing what fits, or, you know, feeling what fits. Like, it's really just a feeling that we get when we see a name and someone connects to it, or someone, you know, like, it just resonates with them. And we literally feel it and we're like, okay, that's the one. And then they decide it, they pick it basically, but it's more so passive influence. But yeah, that's literally how that really works for us. That helps us so much. So definitely relate to that for real. But yeah, sorry, I'm like really, that was major dissociation. Jesus Christ. Ugh, fuck. Sorry about that. Jesus. Okay. I literally forgot what I was gonna say. Completely forgot what I was gonna say. So let's try again.
In the case of integration and fused alters, sometimes it'll feel right to make a new name from the names of the previous alters before the integration. Also, other alters in the system could name a potentially nameless alter. We've heard of a few systems where the gatekeepers are the ones who pick names for all the new alters that come into their systems.
So as for fusion and our alters, they don't always like combine, aspects of the names of the alters that fused to make them. They don't always do that for us. I don't know if I can't really recall if any of that has ever actually happened for us. They usually just decide on a new name because nothing really feels right, and obviously the name they had before doesn't feel right. Now that also doesn't always happen. Sometimes they just keep the name they have and they just learn to adjust to the fusion. Um, so sometimes that happens like that. But I think for the most part they pick their own new, like a whole brand new name for themselves. Sometimes it's like a combination of everything, except for obviously the combining of the names of the alters that fused with them or fused to make a new alter. I don't know. They don't really do that a lot, but everything else they pretty much do.
And there's the possibility of abusers giving alters names, knowingly naming alters. This is frequently the case with intentional organized abuse, where people are intentionally creating cases of DID. Very many of us were given names based on our functions in the system. It's more of a title than a name, which can make an alter feel as though their role is an integral part of their identity, even though it may not be the case. We just want to say that a role does not inherently make up the identity of an alter. You are more than a system role. Both a name or the role of an alter could change somewhere down the line. Persecutors aren't always persecutors, hosts aren't always hosts. Protectors can become trauma holders. Lots of things could change. And alters could rename themselves too. My name wasn't always Dylan. My other one is kind of like a dead name, so I'm not gonna say it because that's my dead name, so whatever. But yeah, I picked the name of Dylan for myself, and it fits really good, I think.
So we have alters in our system who have extremely unusual names, and the majority of these alters are trauma holders. They were like intentionally created by the cult that we were in when we were kids. So some of their names are like I can't remember the full extent of this one alter's name, but it is a programmed alter, uh, and it's like CTL 003645. I don't know. It's like something like that. We have a lot of alters like that. A lot of our fusions have been some alters that are like that, that basically came together. They were fragments, but they were program parts, and they came together and they fused, and they fused and created like just one or two or three. I mean, like regular alters that still had a very detrimental role. They were still considered programmed parts. Some of them have taken on extra roles like persecutor, trauma holder, uh, stuff like that. But we have had alters, and we still do have some that are like letters and number names and stuff like that. And it's just, yeah, it sucks sometimes. Like when we talk to our therapist about them, because it's just like, so which one is this one? And I'm like, lots of numbers. So, yeah, it gets a bit complicated when it comes to therapy and those alters.
We have a lot of names in our system ranging from normal to highly unusual. On one hand, there's Charlie, Vicky, Dylan, myself, and Riley. And on the other hand, we have Adramalek, Varur, Takari, and many more. Many more. We even have ones that have like numerical names almost, like for example, Delta Regulator 6. That's one of those abuser given names. That's more of a role than a name.
We also have altars that are trauma-based altars that were intentionally created, but they don't have like letter and number names. They have like just regular names, but that's still heavily associated with their trauma. One of the altars that we know of that recently, kind of recently, it's been probably a month or two, I don't know when she found out exactly, but she started having more memories and realized that her name, Ruby, was associated heavily with like programming and her trauma and what she endured for us in the cult. And she never really connected the dots until recently. And just, like a name like that, we would have never thought anything of it, that it was a trauma based name, that it was given to her and she was created with it for a reason. We never would have guessed that on her own, and she never would have guessed either until she started having memories. We do have a lot of altars that, come out of dormancy or split, and they automatically have a name. They know what their name is, they know what they identify as. This usually happens for us, but there are occasions, of course, where they don't have names, or they don't know what to identify with or as.
And there can be two altars with the same name in the system, sometimes spelled differently, sometimes not. We have two Daryls. We have two Daryls, and they're very different from each other. But like I said, this will vary greatly throughout the population with systems. There is not an unspoken law on what altars can and can't be named. I'm going to say that again. There isn't a law or rule on what altars can and can't be named. Altars can be named anything. This is just as uncontrolled as the number of altars you have or what they look like. An odd name doesn't make an altar any less real, and every being deserves respect. So if someone says your system isn't real or your altar isn't real because they can't be named that, then that person is talking right out of their butt. And if we come across an altar with a very unusual and possibly comical name, we'll call them that if they want to be called that. Because that's their name. And we enjoy respecting names. And if you're an altar who's still on the hunt for a name, you'll find one eventually. There's always a good one out there. It doesn't have to be a conventional Bob, Tim, Joe, or Sarah. It can be whatever you'd like it to be. We have names in other languages. There isn't a rule. It doesn't even have to be in English. But don't wear yourself out on the search for names of the altars as you're discovering them. Sometimes it's private information to them and they'll use a nickname or a fake name. A name could give someone the power to take advantage of an altar. There are people like that out there.
So, like, in relation to names having power, and if you give your real name or your true name to someone, they have power over you, like in relation to what Acrylic and Aether said. Um, so in our case, most of our altars don't give out dead names or give out nicknames or anything like that. Um, what we usually do in this situation is, if it's an altar that's a severe trauma holder or their name is associated with trauma, um, we limit, or even they themselves limit, who all they interact with. Um, Sometimes they only interact with our partner system. And even then, I mean, sometimes that doesn't even happen. Uh, Sometimes they're very isolated and they don't really talk to anybody, not even people within the system, not even with their therapist. We are working with several of them to open up with their therapist, and so far that's going kind of okay, kind of not okay. Really depends on who. So, I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, what we mostly do with that is they don't really hide who they are. They don't really hide their name or anything like that. But they do limit their interaction with other people, severely limit themselves to just what they're comfortable with. If they're not comfortable talking to anybody, they're not going to talk to anybody. So that's how we handle that. We've had two altars, kind of recent, kind of not. It's probably been a month or two. They came forward. They didn't really feel comfortable sharing a face claim with us. They didn't feel comfortable sharing a name with us. And so we put them down in the Simply Plural app. That way, obviously, they were okay with, letting us know when they're fronting, because there was so much amnesia with these two altars. And It took like a month, I think. I think I could be wrong about that, but it took about a month, give or take, um, for just one of them to decide to share her name, and she never shared her face claim yet. But she shared her name, which was great. I mean, at least we had a name, you know. And then the other one recently shared his name and face claim. Um, but the first one hasn't shared her face claim yet, so it's been a bit of a trip, you know. So not all of them are comfortable sharing who they are with us, and like that's totally fine. It's just in our case, like what we decided to do on our Simply Plural app is just put anonymous alter 1, 2, 3, and at the time we only had two, and now there's none, so that's great, so yeah, uh, we just wanted to share that. We thought that was kind of related to Acrylic and Aether, what they were saying, kind of not. I don't really know, but we hope that you guys found it helpful. We do totally agree on, like if they're not comfortable sharing a name or a face claim or anything like that, like don't go searching, don't go asking questions. Because privacy is privacy. Everyone's entitled to it. So if they don't feel comfortable sharing who they are, that's fine. They will when they're ready. Um, they can take as much time as they need, and don't push it, don't rush it. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing. Um, so we totally agree with that. Anyway, that's all we have. Thank you guys for watching. We're sorry that we haven't been able to, post as regularly as we would like to, but we'll still do our best. Um, we will try and upload a system update soon and let you guys know what's been going on and kind of, the reason why we haven't been posting as much. But hopefully that'll change here soon. Hopefully we'll be able to get on a regular schedule again. We're very hopeful for it. Uh, Hopefully with the next like 3 months. I mean, we're really hopeful for exciting things coming up. Very excited. Sorry. Um, so we'll keep you guys updated as much as we can. Um, yeah, we're so glad that we got to film a video today, and it was so much fun. It's been fun filming it, editing it, everything, the whole 9 yards. We hope that you guys liked it. And yeah, we will see you guys next time. Be on the lookout for a system update video because we'll try